The Outer Worlds 2 is almost here, and I'm almost 100% certain it's gonna kill Obsidian. And I'm saying this not to be over dramatic. I'm not saying this just for the sake of negativity. I'm saying this because I have been following everything that Obsidian has been doing, everything that they have been doing with Avowed, everything they are planning to do with Outer Worlds 2, and I am fully convinced all of their decisions are exactly the opposite what players currently want. We already are receiving gameplay footage, an early 1 hour preview of the game from the most trusted sources, like Maddie, like SkillUp, like Luke Steffens. Not sure if any of them are getting actually the copy. I'm just giving them as examples. Examples of people who are always gonna be 100% positive about their experiences when they get an early copy. So this alone already is a massive red flag. And this is completely ignoring everything else that we know about the game. Let me explain why I think that this is going to be a disaster. First of all, after Fallout New Vegas, the Outer Worlds 1 was not actually received that well. It was safe, it was boring, it lacked roleplay, it lacked freedoms, it was not anything that people expected from the developers of Fallout New Vegas. After that, Obsidian made Avowed, which released this year, and it was an absolute disaster. The gameplay was bad, the role playing was stupid, the dialogue options were unbelievable garbage, the world building was absolutely ass, and the combat and everything else was also very, very poor. It did not sell any copies. And it was crazy because that was one of the most anticipated games, actually, of that year. Because we were starved for role playing games. And what we saw at the start of the trailers, I was excited back then. I was excited for Obsidian and what they're gonna do with Avowed. But then they did a complete bait and switch on what the early trailers showed and what the actual game was. Needless to say, Avowed completely failed. We don't have the numbers for it, but we can estimate it not even being in the top 100% Xbox most played games when it released, and it having 20k peak players day 1 and even day 2 it was below that, that it is an absolute disaster. And The Outer Worlds 2 has almost all of the same pitfalls, all of the same shortcomings that Avowed had. It has the same dialogue system. It has the same role-playing system. It literally has almost the exact same world building and color palette and everything about it. And I mean, I'm not even gonna talk about the trailer for the companions that we saw, which is literally a DEI Vogue fiesta that I don't think anyone wanted or liked or said anything positive about. So Avowed has nothing. They have doubled down on everything they thought was good about Avowed, not Avowed, but about the Outer Worlds 1. And they're just continuing to doing it on Outer Worlds 2. One of the main issues is people complain about there being a lack of role-playing elements in the Outer Worlds. And for the Outer Worlds 2, you know what they concentrated on? Again, this is just all the things that they have showed us. They concentrated on there being guns. A gun that shoots cancer, a gun that makes something small, a gun that shoots confetti and levels up. Yeah, that's not exciting. That's not what people wanted from the Outer Worlds 2. We wanted an open world with role-playing elements. And the only thing you showed about role-playing elements was that you can open a door with brute strength or by fixing it. That's not roleplay. That's not roleplay. No one has ever commended Fallout for allowing you to open a door with a lock, a key, or through a computer. I mean, it's cool that you can have that, but no one's really saying, wow, this is a breakthrough technology in game design. No. But that's what Avowed decided to, not Avowed again, the Outer Worlds and Obsidian decided to highlight when talking about the roleplay elements of the Outer Worlds too. And the second thing that they decided to show was even arguably worse. It was actually dialogue options. And they decided to show the stupid dialogue options that you can interact with other people. And there was a bunch of them. There was like 5 or 6 of them. I read all of them. All of them were ass. I would not pick anyone if I wanted to be stupid with someone. And my sentiment was completely shared with every single other person that commented that those dialogue options are nothing that you would ever pick. And this is how you make good dialogue options. This is how you make good role-playing games. By allowing players to pick options that they would themselves want to pick, something that fits. And when you make 6 dialogue options and none of them seemingly anyone wants to pick because none of them feel right, that's like the biggest red flag. In any case, I mean, I'm expecting literally nothing from the Outer Worlds 2. I think people have given up. Obsidian is not a good studio, and that's pretty much it.
Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today, we're gathering around to talk about The Outer Worlds 2. I went hands-on with this bad boy nice and early, got to play the prologue stretch of the game, which went for a little bit over an hour. Did that twice over to see if I can make different choices and how that would play out. More on that in a
So keep in mind, this is the prologue section. This is the start of the game. This is where all of the actual roleplay elements, if they have any, are gonna be in. That's where you're gonna see them.
bit. But going into this, you know, I was kind of in that middle area with The Outer Worlds 2, like excited for it, but almost cautiously so, which is not usually like me with Obsidian RPGs, but I felt like after Avowed, I had to just temper myself a little bit. But this also looked like the big one for Obsidian in a lot of ways. Like they were swinging hard with this compared to the likes of Avowed or Pentiment or Grounded. This is where a lot of the resources went. And I feel you can immediately feel that with this game and how it's presented, and I'll break that down. The TLDR is this. I've done previews for probably a decade now, and I have to say this was one of the safest I've seen. Nothing necessarily alarmed me outside of a little bit of player choice dialogue, but given the breadth of The Outer Worlds 2 and what
Okay, let's read some dialogue. But Sandoval, that's a name I'm assuming, he lost at that, saying we gotta save people because they're too stupid to save themselves. That seems like a great dialogue. And that we got righteousness on our side. Okay, definitely missing context here. Maybe this is not a disaster. I've always said we need to put the people first, that humanity and ours is priceless. Okay, that would not be even that horrible of a dialogue option if it was like, yeah, we need to put the people first. That I don't know why you would write the other thing. That kind of dissuades me. Never forget, this is our job. No one's ever going to be looking out for you but you. Okay, that could actually fit if he has a personality of an idiot. We must show no mercy. Whoever breaks the law isn't entitled to its protection. We don't strain yourself thinking, just do what Earth Directive tells you to, they know best. That's an actual good roleplay option if you're playing as the Earth Directive, not gonna lie. This one's okay. Look kid, I'm not here to offer advice. Find yourself a different mentor. That's also an okay-ish option to take. I feel that we need context here for what's happening, but kind of meh, kind of mid. There's still obvious options, but whatever.
But given the breadth of The Outer Worlds 2 and what Obsidian's talking about, I saw
Not
very
gonna
little
read
of
this
that
one.
in my preview. This was a 1-hour slice of the game's prologue. Meanwhile, when I think back to my first preview of The Outer Worlds 1, I got my hands...
I wonder if this prologue is gonna be where you need to cross the bridge. Because that was the big point that Obsidian was trying to sell everyone. Oh, look at this! You need to cross this bridge, right? And you have the ability to talk with them, help them, sneak, kill them, or something else, right? Or you can just find a way to jump over it or something like that, right? So I wonder how this is gonna work. Is this the bridge?
on a lot more and got to see things like leveling up.
This does look like a bridge, not gonna lie.
I got to see things like exploration. I got to see how my choices played out. This felt like a far less confident and more safe showing of the game. I don't know what RPG benefits from seeing an hour of the introduction of the game. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it also doesn't mean I can safely say what's here will be good, which should be objective number one of any preview. Show what.
Oh, geez, even Maddie's saying off the bat that it's not the greatest thing ever. But this is what they do. Guys, it's not great, but you should still buy it. Guys, it's not the best, but it was good. You don't want a long game. 5 hours worth $70 is good enough.
Makes the game work, what makes the game tick, what makes the game exciting. I got to experience gunplay and stealth, and extremely minor choice and consequence that, if explored on a larger scale, could be cool. But after this preview, I firmly remain in the place where Outer Worlds 2, I'm hoping for the best. I'm seeing some things I like, barring some of the player choice dialogue, but I'm not really able to make heads or tails of it in a definitive way until the final release. And I feel like they need to swing harder if they do another preview on this game. I have more thoughts I'll share in a little bit, but if you're new here, consider subscribing. And before we begin, a quick word from today's sponsor. Are you tired of your same old boring browser? I know I am.
That's a Final Fantasy ad? Oh no, it's Opera GX, okay.
All right, so we played the prologue section of the game. Shout out to Xbox for the hookup. What do we see here? First thing we see is the character creator. Now, visually...
I mean, I guess this is okay if you're going for a post-menopause, woman in her 45s.
Speaking, I think it's a little bit more important this time around because we can go in...
Can we make her hotter than this? That's a good question.
Third person, the Outer Worlds 2. And I say that because it reminded me a lot of Avowed, where I really didn't like my appearance either way. Woman, you're better looking and cooler looking, so I ended up playing as one for my first rodeo in the Outer Worlds.
Okay, listen, this works for me because my tastes are exquisite, to say the least, okay? I like uniqueness to a degree, but not the bad. Relax, boys. Relax. Not a degenerate, kind of. But, yeah, this is like... Again, so, my only choice is to be a 50-year-old? Is that it?
But, yeah, I'm a little bit let down by this character creation.
Because, again, if you're surprised about this, again, Obsidian made Avowed. Obsidian is making this. This is literally Avowed, but in space, effectively, if you want to put it like that. And... Avowed's women looked like garbage piles. All of their women looked ugly. Their facial structures were literally Liadrin from the Midnight trailer. Okay, that's how bad we're talking about here.
And how characters are appearing, especially because I was excited about the third person mode, and now it's like
facial hair color. Oh my!
I'm gonna be rushing to the first helmet and piece of armor that I can slap on my character.
Bro, Maddie, your audio levels are all over the place.
And I'm sorry if you're like me. I don't know. I don't think I have that unique of a haircut or a hair color. You tell me if I'm wrong down below. I know, like, the whole jersey anime shirt combo. Maybe that's something that's tough to find.
Pretty good.
RPG. Fair enough. But look, like, when
I got a good haircut.
It comes to the character creator for
my head barber said I look good. 10 out of 10.
Men.
My mom said I look good. That's more than any man ever deserves.
Yo, we're not looking hot out there. I don't know, man. Like, I just did not like it. Unless I was like a typical looking dude bro or something. Like, I was not cooking with the male character creator. So maybe.
How can you be 16 but 53 at the same time? Oof.
It's mean because I had to go into like more female hair options, which is not how I feel like I'm rocking it. But I don't know. I did not like how guys looked in the character creator. Unless you had shorter hair, then I think you're doing fine. What I care more about in this character creator are my RPG elements. And that's where we get into backgrounds, traits, skills.
This is really bad. I already talked about it. This is very boring. Read any of these. You're able to perform great feats of strength in combat. You're unstoppable force. This is like the super RPG elements, like brilliant. You're intelligent during skill select, specialize in one additional skill. It's most of Avowed is literally +%, -%. It's not great.
A lot of these were shared between Avowed and the
Outer Worlds. I mean, again, I'm constantly saying Avowed, but no, this is the Outer Worlds. I'm so sorry.
One of the biggest differences I could at least tell early on is that my background mattered way more in the prologue of this game. And I hope that carries across the entirety of the experience,
No.
because in Avowed, there was a lot of flavor dialogue, as I'll probably mention multiple times this video. And that fell really into the background of your character. And I get it. It was a multiplayer game gone.
True, but it ultimately didn't matter. It ultimately did not matter. I think it's very cheap to make, like, the special background things for your character, and you having options like that to speak of, but, yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end. Having unique dialogue that changes nothing, I think, is hollow.
Single player. But here in the Outer Worlds 2, I was very happy to see my background felt like it opened up some unique options, some unique ways to solve problems. The traits, I'm a little bit in the middle on. You kind of have your positive and negative traits a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Like Fallout New Vegas, where if you go in on some traits, you're going to take some negatives to offset it. Some I thought were just way better than others in the.
Yeah, again, you can't make anything really interesting here because, let's face it. Look at this. You're taking this for a stealth build, right? Well, obviously you're taking the minus health and minus toxicity threshold. You don't even have to read what this is. You're just taking this instantaneously. So, again, you can't really balance or make interesting roleplay choices like this when all of your roleplay choices are plus 5 damage, minus 2 HP.
Positive section of the traits, like additional skills that you could specialize in, where you normally have 2, but you could specialize in 3, versus like sprinting into people to knock them over, or increased sprint speed and crouch speed. Like, there were some that were so obviously way better, and I hope.
By the way, there is a chance that I buy actually the Outer Worlds too, because the stealth options are actually there. I am a sucker for stealth games. Okay? I am a sucker. I have literally played every Fallout game. First playthrough, second playthrough, and third playthrough the exact same stealth sniper way. No exceptions. Never any exception. So what I have actually seen from the Outer Worlds 2 stealth actually looks kind of fun. It actually looks pretty good. So I could actually buy this as just purely a stealth game, and maybe just ignore how bad everything else is, because the stealth is actually good. So that is a kind of a, interesting thing.
This list does stretch out a little bit longer, because I think there just needs to be more traits here to balance out what I think are very obvious choices. Anyway, I picked a little bit of a mixture of like the crouch speed, the sprint speed, and of course the third specialization. And I think to offset it, I took 15% less health. I'm like, easy choice. Then you get into the skills. If you've played the Outer Worlds 1, you'll know they had them as like families of skills, and they would all level up together, and then eventually once you surpassed 50 and you hit that threshold, you'd be able to elevate them individually. This is a situation, to me, already I can say, where less is more. You have things like medical, sneak, engineering, speech, and these are all utilized in individual pockets of the games that are reflected in gameplay way more than they really ever were in the Outer Worlds 1. And I think that will be a huge improvement, again, if the skill checking I saw was anything to go by in the prologue. We'll see how it goes across the full game. Not trying to sound too defensive here. We'll see. But I was encouraged by how the skills were applied. So I felt like character creation and actually who I was going to be mattered more than just flavor text and, hey, I'm the ex-convict for like 5 minutes, and it just sounds cool, but it doesn't actually change anything. That's what I expect from big budget RPGs. Have these things matter.
I'm not gonna lie, for a Manny video, this is honestly almost as negative as it gets. I wonder if a scale-up extra life Luke Stephens have gotten a review copy here. Because you know what happens when Luke doesn't get a copy. Oh man, he's gonna actually say your game was bad. And then 2 months later make a video where he's literally begging on his knees that, he's gonna say good things because the game was actually great. Give me the copy. I'm talking about Elder Scrolls 6 and Luke Stephens. That was hilarious. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out.
If you're indie, you get the pass. So you start off the game as a commander aboard a ship on behalf of the Earth Directorate. And the game is already still funny in the way I love it, but it does appear to take itself a little bit more seriously.
Okay, one of the things with this is if you did not like Fallout's roleplay, for example, Fallout 4, that you were the dad, the ex-military dude, and things like that, you're probably not gonna like this because this is already a massive limitation to your roleplay possibilities. You're not a clean slate. You're an Earth directive guy. The same problem as in Avowed, which then didn't allow you actually to, role play as an adventurer or something like that. So same problem.
Which I imagine a lot of you were looking for based on comments I read. So, an example of this is a protectorate guard having a conversation with another one of the grunts in the area, and they were talking about turning in their family because they insinuated that they didn't have an important job. Another example that I can't spoil just involves that I talked to a character and blew them off early. Something pretty bad happened to them later, and they were kind of laying there like, oh, if only you were nice to me earlier, then this would have happened. And it was both funny, but also like, damn, I did this to myself. And I knew it played out differently because the first time I was nice to this individual. And so I like that it kind of changed based on how I treated them. And the delivery of it was a good type of humor that I personally enjoy. But some of this I think is going to miss and kind of fall in the camp of what I now call meme-worthy writing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think about no. God damn it! I want to call this garbage Avowed. The Outer Worlds still is gonna be meme writing. The same as modern day Bethesda with Starfield is the same way that Avowed was meme writing. The Outer Worlds 2 is gonna also be effectively meme writing.
And by that I mean Avowed. And this is not with how characters talk, to be specific, at least from what I've seen, because the characters in the Outer Worlds talk like how they do in the first game, which I like. They're very human, but also corporate. And I find that to be endlessly hilarious. The player dialogue, though, especially in Avowed, I had a lot of issues with. Like, just anything my character said, I'm like, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I didn't get the feeling as frequently in the Outer Worlds 2, but there was a moment I was able to, it said twirl your pistol and tell a guard that I happened because some of a nasty business that went down earlier. Yeah, I saw that and went, oh no. It's like, that's just not, that's right. I call it writing that sounds good in your head. Like you write it down, you're like, yeah, that's funny. But when you say it out, you're like, ah, yeah. Like,
yeah, Avowed's fucking fucked. This is probably the most negative I have ever seen Mr. Matty be about honestly anything in my life. Oh boy.
We need to act these things out a little bit more. So the other characters that I spoke to were written like Outer Worlds characters. That was good. That got the thumbs up for me. Player selection dialogue, a little bit iffy on though. Overall, the presentation of the game is far more cinematic. Like there are cutscenes with multiple characters talking.
Yeah,
you can interact with them, which I know isn't really.
Well, I mean, I'd pay money to get slapped like. I mean, that's horrible and unreal.
Interact with them, which I know isn't really pushing things super far, but for an Obsidian game, this is kind of new for us. It's also just having full-on produced cutscenes in the middle of these story segments. There's a sense of scale within the levels. It already feels way bigger than the original, even if I didn't get to see all of the exploration, just the skyboxes, the environments, they just feel way, way bigger. And it's much more colorful, which I think the Outer Worlds already had a strong sense of color. The Series X visuals appeared to me.
The Outer Worlds looked like it's rainbow puke constantly. And that's really sad because initially I really liked the Outer Worlds color palette because I thought they did a good job. You didn't have moss that grows underground in space, in water, and everywhere magically. But then it just all turned so bad. It's like the color palette is just cartoon.
A little fuzzy might be the best word. I thought they could have looked sharper, so to me, I felt tempted to play this on PC when the full game comes out. If there's anything else I feel was kind of getting cheaped out on, it's the stealth takedown animation. Like, look, if I'm Xbox, I'm putting out a mandate across all my studios that just after Redfall, you cannot have cheap, crappy stealth takedown animations, like just poking people in the ass and having them literally die on the spot. Like, you can only get so far away with the comedy of it all before I'm like,
by the way,
this just looks like way too much of a corner cut. And I'm not saying I need.
Okay, I hate it when you throw a rock and then the gods go like, "There's a rock there! Rock there!" Yeah, I hate when they do that. But honestly, you know what? You can make this so better. Just do what Tainted Grail did. make there be like a time slowdown when you do it. It's fine. It actually makes it fine. I like the takedowns in Tainted Grail. Yes, there's melee stealth takedowns. It is what it is. It's really hard though, but man, it feels fucking good, boys. I ain't gonna lie. And this could do the same, but there's no slowing down. Like, Tainted Grail did a really good job of it making things feel meaty when you hit something, by at the moment of that just slowing it slightly down. Oh, it was good. Man, that combat was epic. I should go play Tainted Grail.
Dishonored, like, I'm putting the dude in a chokehold and like literally dragging him around. There's full body interaction, but like something that just doesn't involve a little poke and you're dead. You know, something like a stealth takedown animation would go a long way, especially because with the level design I saw and how you could actually use stealth in the Outer Worlds too, and it might actually be worthwhile. I feel like this was a resource worth investing in.
Yeah, stealth.
Let's get to
good.
the real meat and potatoes of the experience. What we're here for with an Obsidian RPG, and that is role-playing, skill checking. Now, there was a lot that I could skill check, and I mean that in a good way because a lot of it was framed with gameplay consequences. The problem, again, with the window of the demo, and I think I can already predict it now, a lot of people are going to be like, I was skill checking everything. It was friggin' awesome. The problem is that a lot of people look at skill checks and they're like, I can do it. They passed. And it's like, no, it's about you can do it. What happens after? I got to skill check things, but
True. Again, Fallout New Vegas, the Lanius dialogue. You can do the skill check and pass it, but if you after fuck up and call him a coward by accident because you're stupid, by the way, I never knew that that's even an option. I have actually taken down Lanius with just a speech check. I never knew that's an option because I was looking at my options and like, wait, if I choose this, I'm gonna be effectively calling him a coward and an idiot. I'd better avoid that because he does not sound like the guy who's gonna appreciate me after I do that. I did not know. I needed to find a YouTube video years after that and figure out, wow, actually he does that? I did not know. I never did that like that. But yeah, there's a lot of people who did fuck that up. I like those options. Having a skill check, again, that just doesn't change anything as previously I said, is just cheap and useless.
I didn't get to see what happened after, not just in character reactions, but even within the levels. For example, I found a robot that if I had a high enough engineering to mess around with, I could augment it to fight with me. There was the ability to get a key card from a terminal, but my hacking skill wasn't high enough, so I couldn't get that. That would have gotten me through a doorway a little bit easier. I could have used the media port on a communications device. I'm not sure what that would have led to, but one good example of it being a bit more tangible was I got a bit of lore from a chalkboard that I could interact with, and the only reason I could understand what was on the chalkboard was because I chose the professor as my background. It's important to note that a lot of these initial skill checks seem to be targeting gameplay reactions and not just flavor text, which many RPGs, including Obsidian's most recent, were very guilty of. So it looks like, again, can't say for sure, but it looks like we're setting up a situation where how I build my character matters. There were some routes throughout the level I couldn't go through because my lockpicking wasn't high enough. That was a big one. I was like, dang, I should have invested in lockpicking because I felt like every door I wanted to get into was locked in this game. And that would have been immensely helpful in my exploration. But I loved that the game told me no oftentimes. And one thing Obsidian's mentioned before is embracing missed content. And again, with Avowed, I didn't feel that as much as I kind of felt it with the Outer Worlds too. There comes a point where you can literally go left or right. There's just two paths. One is the gun blazing path. The other is the stealth path. And I got to see both of those through on 2 different playthroughs. And I got to say, I am surprised that when I went through the entire...
Okay, so the rest of the game is not like that. It's clear as day this is super fucking scripted and this is the sales pitch part. Well, better than Starfield, that much I can say for sure at least. Starfield didn't even have a sales pitch part. But yeah, okay, so this is what I feared. The first part of the game, the first hour, actually gives you options, but the rest of the game probably does not honestly have that in that sense. Okay.
entirety of the prologue, you don't see the opposite side of that facility depending on which way you go through. If you take the stealth route, it's not like most games where, okay, eventually we're going to feed you through and we're going to put you in the part where the guns...
Or maybe the most on-rail parts do have options, but I mean, if your key story parts have options, how you want to approach them, that's fine. That's cool. But does anything else have options? That's the question. Like, obviously, the 1 hour that they gave the reviewers is the best hour that they could have given, so they probably have, like, a choice or two to make there. But does it actually matter? Like, okay, choosing guns blazing or stealth or whatever, does that matter if the outcome doesn't change? Does that matter if you end up in the same place and... Does it?
Blazing section. It's like, no. You just completely missed that part and what's over there, and I love that. That's what's been missing from many RPGs, but including Obsidian RPGs. I don't want to see everything. That's what makes the finale of these games so brilliant, is I'm like, oh, that was amazing, and I get to play this again and see it through a different light. Like, that is what makes these games tick, and I feel like I'm seeing some signs in the skill checking and in the choices of how the gameplay plays out that I might be able to get that here. As for dialogue choice, there was a lot of X will remember that. I mean, a lot. And I saw it in some ways play...
Whenever it's X will remember that, I think that's shit. I think that's shit game design.
Out, for example, that one time a guy was like, if only you were nice to me earlier. But in the terms of the finale of the prologue, I didn't see like dramatically different cutscenes or dramatically different endings depending on what I did beforehand. This goes back to what I said, kind of a safe prologue. Kind of want to see like the breadth of the options that the game is offering and to be a little more firm on like they're heading in a right direction and this does feel good or not. So while the verdict is out on the choices, I can talk a bit more about the gameplay and what I feel a little bit stronger on, which is that the Outer Worlds 1's combat was all right. Like, it was serviceable. Like, it was a game where you could shoot, you could loot, and that was fine for what it was trying to be. I think some people are a little bit harsh on it, and I never really agreed with it because a lot of the game is about talking to people and finding unique solutions through your obstacles. This game, though, because of the breadth of the level design and the different paths you can take and the improved gunplay, the expectation should be better AI, for example, that actually fights you. When I played this on normal and I was doing stealth, there was a moment where like an enemy looked straight at me and barely reacted. Granted, we're a couple months away, but still, it was a little bit of an uh-oh moment. So playing it on normal, I went, this does feel a little bit like old gamey Outer Worlds 1, where, yeah, I mean, the role-playing stuff can be cool, but I can kind of joke my way through the game. So on playthrough 2, I went to the hard difficulty, and I'm glad I did, because this feels like where the game should be played. Like, I actually had robots that would fly at me and flush me out of...
Playing literally any Fallout type game without playing on max difficulty. No, just no.
Cover. I had enemies with melee weapons that were way more aggressive. They didn't feel super spongy in an unfair way. This incentivized stealth gameplay. This incentivized a little bit more intensity on me doing speech checks. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, one way or another, I'm playing the Outer Worlds 2, then just take this away with you. Play the damn game on hard, because it felt way, way, way better that way. Like, immediately I locked in.
Damn, again we get to talk about Tainted Grail. Okay, Tainted Grail is such a great game because there is danger out there in the world, okay? A statue can come alive and literally shish kebab you from the behind, and there's and good luck with that, buddy. Okay? There's so many insane things. It is so refreshing when you actually are like, okay, I need you to go to the graveyard, kill a necromancer. And you go to the graveyard and you're like, I ain't going in there. There's mist. I can't see shit. There's no minimap, but I can see right there in the compass. It says that there's like 15 fucking enemies. And fighting, honestly, already 2 enemies or 3 enemies at a time is really tough in a lot of cases. And I did not steal enough fish to heal myself properly. Okay? I want to go into the graveyard. I want to die. I want to die. It's so refreshing when you get situations like that. It's absolutely insane. Man, just buy Tainted Grail fucking instead. Jesus Christ.
On a completely different level. And I'm usually one who, like, I just go with normal. I go with whatever the developer recommended difficulty is. This felt really, really good on hard because there was a little bit of added intensity to everything I did. Like going guns blazing, you can do this, but it's going to be a little bit more hard because the enemies do hit a bit harder. I didn't see a control option for it, but I hope the game has like leaning because that was something that got me shot a lot when I shouldn't have been shot. And that would have been a great feature to have if it's not there. This game is getting a lot of comparisons to Fallout, which makes sense, especially when you're adding a radio to your technological device that is very, very, very Fallout. Some other Fallout-isms that I noticed, though, because you know me, Fallout Brain Matty, never shuts off. A lot of gore. When there are explosions, I mean, you know what I'm talking about in Fallout where every limb's missing, like head's missing, arms missing, legs missing. It's just a torso and a waist with literally nothing else. I saw that level of gore and arms blowing off, and it wasn't anything like Fallout where you shoot someone in the head and their whole body explodes, at least not yet. Again, would have loved to see the perks and the leveling up and how that plays out and what gameplay buffs I get there. But as it stands now, lots of gore. Not sure if it's Fallout level though, but it seems like when it makes sense, like I shot an exploding barrel where a protectorate guard was there, and when it blew up, I mean, there were parts of him everywhere. I love that stuff.
That's
when you combine that with the slow-mo kill cam, I am getting a lot more Fallout vibes here. And I smiled when it happened. When I shot someone and it went like slow motion and their body just ragdoll and I heard the slow motion sound effects, I went, yeah, dude, that's Fallout. But ultimately, what sucks is that I can't sit here and go chest down and be like, yeah, they did it. There was...
Okay, so at start we had negativity, then it's... I can't tell with Maddie, okay? It started off negative and then it was like, yeah, this is good enough. Because nothing really has that impact. You never can tell. There's never just a simple sentence of game good, game bad. Okay? For example, if you don't know what Tainted Grail is, you can already tell that I'm a massive fucking fan of how good that game is. And that I am 100% looking down at the Outer Worlds 2 currently and thinking, well, it's gonna be shit when it launches. But with this, I mean, you can barely tell. Hey, what can I say? It's a talent defense, honestly. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty Plays 10 out of 10. Bye!